1989, greatest grand final, do you think?
Well, I do.
Now the Canberra Raiders make their way onto the Sydney Football Stadium, led by Meninga. Todd, Sullivan and Belcher, and then Chicken Ferguson and Glenn Lazarus following.
You know, I watched the 1990 grand final probably 12 months ago for the first time right through, and I'd forgotten so much about it because everything was about 89.
You had a massive try-saver on Tim Brasher.
The little chip kick from Brasher into the open spaces for him. Perfect! Great tackle! Great kick! Marvellous chasing and brilliant defence.
He was only about 14 then, Brash, wasn't he?
He would have been, actually, I think he was in high school, to be honest.
Yeah. I'll tell you what did happen as well in that first half was they scored a try. They scored a second try just before half-time. Paul Siren scored.
Short blindside, they've got some room. Courier's quick. Gets the kick in over the head of Belcher. Bouncing, and Grant's there. He passes infield for Courier. This will be incredible. Sirenin charging. They won't stop him. What a try. What a rugby league try in a grand final.
Ciro's try was amazing.
It was amazing. Well, not from my point of view, because they put a kick through. I didn't get to it on the full. Probably could have, but I didn't. Let it bounce. And I just got a horror bounce. James Grant, he gave to Ciro and Ciro scored. So at half-time, Mel ripped into me. What do you catch it on the full? I said I couldn't get there. You could have got there.
Because you're down 12-2 at half-time.
We were, yeah.
And how
that was
the tone?
And that was a really big deficit in those days, Yvonne. It was hard to, it was just harder to score tries. And games weren't really, you didn't often score 3 tries in 5 minutes or 10 minutes as it happens now.
What about your poetic try? And that really shifts the momentum. That was a big moment.
Belcher, they must score. Belcher, that is deserved. The best player in the Canberra side today. The stadium knows this grand final is up for grabs again.
A lot of people have said, they say, do you play? Did you play in the 89 grand? Yeah.
Oh my God.
How'd you go? Did you score? I scored, yeah.
Yeah, I scored a try. I was there.
Who remembers that try? When Chicka's try later on, that levelled the scores. And then Steve Jackson's try.
Meninga's picked it up. Chicken George has got support too. And they're pulled out just, is he almost? He's there! Try! What strength, what power, what a grand final, what a premiership.
It's like the Cliffy Lyons try I mentioned before. They're just gone.
And then that moment, you're crowned premiers.
It's relief. Mel cry. It's just that relief. I still feel shattered for my mates Blocker and Ciro and Benny. They didn't get to experience that. Everything else in the game, but they didn't get to win a grand final. And I kind of wish they did, but I wouldn't give them that one.
The scenes were something like we'd never really experienced before.
We sort of said g'day to all the people in Queanbeyan lining the streets and took a motorcade into Canberra. And Laurie's car was the first one, and it was just a little sports car with this little section at the back where he put the trophy. I'm behind with Steve Jackson. So we get out of town, and Laurie, I think he said to the guy, yeah, give it a bit, there's no one here. So he guns it, and the trophy and Jacko goes, look, the trophy! Comes out the back of the car, hits the bitumen, bounces. She got, oh my God, the Winfield Cup. So we pick it up and it's in pieces. But anyway, he's picked it up, put it back in. So we get in and Mel's just gone, what have you done? So we wrapped it in a T-shirt. You've ever seen the pictures of when we're presenting them? Because the head was fine, the heads were fine, but he had to wrap a T-shirt around it.
Bradley Clyde had a magnificent game.
He did.
And won the Clive Churchill, but geez, you must have gone close. Did you win the TV pick?
The State Bank Man of the Match.
State Bank Man.
Thank you very much.
89 and 90, you named Dally M Fullback of the Year. And I think your style of fullback and the brand that you brought really influenced the modern fullbacks that we now see.
As I said earlier, I'd never played fullback. And I asked this question a lot when I was working in the media of players, especially fullbacks. Hey, tell me where you first started playing. And invariably, they weren't fullbacks. They were 5/8s, halfbacks, centres, somewhere else. So they developed all those other skills. Whereas when I was a kid coming through, fullbacks stuck at the back and waited for someone to make a break so they could try to tackle them. But when I got there, I thought, and Bob McCarthy and then Wayne, they encouraged it. You just turn up anywhere.
You went looking for the work.
You can see everything. Well,
yeah.
That's the advantage of having that. You're that extra man.
Into Jackson, to Belcher. Belcher cuts back in. Can he get to that line? Yes! Yes, Gary Belcher in for the try, and that's brought Lane Park alive.
That era at the Raiders, Hall of Famers, Immortal, the whole bit, like you all came out of that same very special group. Mal Meninga you'd known since you were a schoolboy or really coming through as a Souths junior. What influence and mateship has he provided for you over the years?
Oh, huge, yeah. As a kind of a role model, he was only 2 years older, but he was already playing rep footy. He was playing for Queensland, and I was there when he made his debut for Australia. We were at the Leagues Club at South cheering him on, and he dislocated his elbow. And so I watched on as an admirer, and then a teammate, and then a mate. We travelled down to Canberra. The first place they put us, 2 units were next door to each other in Queanbeyan, so we'd go to training together. And he's an immortal, but he's one of the all-time great people in the game.
Ricky Stewart, he was this young rugby convert with a blinding kicking game.
He also had, probably the best passing game that I've seen. Now, when I was a kid coming through in Brisbane, the long spiral passes were called Wally Lewis passes.
And it comes to Lewis, a long, huge pass out, and they've got the numbers outside.
And we were just in awe. We just go, wow. And we're all throwing Wally Lewis passes, trying to learn how to pass left and right long balls. And then when I saw what Ricky could do later on, and it just gave us this great advantage.
Stewart, here comes the long pass. Have a look at the length of it. Daly, quick hands for Mullins. Mullins for Nandruku, and the Fijian goes in to score. What a pass by Stewart, though.
So he had this amazing skills and competitiveness. But the other thing I think people don't understand is that his footy brain. I remember pretty clearly in '88 when Ricky came to the Raiders with Tim Sheens, and Sheensy was just filling in with information about certain field positions. And when we get there, I want you to try that, and then you could do this, and here's some options here. And I'm thinking, Tim, I can't take that. I couldn't have that much information in my head, and I think Mel felt the same. And I said to Mel, he's given Ricky so much information. I'm not sure he's going to be able to handle it. It's just. He did. He took it all in. He just, like a sponge, and was fantastic at managing a game plan.
Stewart with a long ball to Martin. Martin to the outside of his man. Stewart on the inside. Stewart kicking. Ricky Stewart chasing his own kick. Oh, magic!
89-90.
Yeah.
Penrith in 1990. Was there, I've heard you describe it was more like the incredible emotion that was 89. 90 had more of a sense of relief. Panthers get their revenge in 91. The dying moments, just looking back at the replays, there's a short dropout. MG steams onto the ball like only MG can. And he finds Roy Simmons. You're the last line of defence.
I did nothing.
And you know what? I'm so happy for Royce.
Yeah. I just want to thank you in advance for not playing that footage. Oh, you are.
The grand final's gone.
You had a full knee reconstruction around 92. Is that right?
I did, yeah. Yeah, so I played one game and missed the season.
And you had Brett Mullins coming through.
Mullins is through and away. Oh, Mullins. He's away. They will not catch him. He scored 13 tries for the year, and this is his 14th.
And he did some fantastic things in 94, Brett Mullins. I went on and watched them win the grand final the next year, and they didn't miss me one bit.
It would have had a slight...
Bittersweet.
Yeah.
That's the word.
You could have been...
Yeah, look, I would have loved to have been part of it. Maybe they wouldn't have won if I was part of it. Of course, that's the last grand final the Raiders have won. And, of course, it was Mal's swan song as well. So
He goes out a champion, like the way he entered, really.
Yeah, I know.